This video is an edited version of a Facebook Live that I just did. If you want to know about this kind of stuff that I have scheduled, you've got to be hooked up with me via email. Go into the description box for the link that will hook us up. I've also included a link to my Tidy Tutor fan page. Thanks a lot for being in my world. So the topic for this is how thinking like a minimalist can catapult you to declutter with more ease without needing to be a minimalist. Now, there's some things I want to share with you that really helped me to make my decluttering, getting more organized, living in a streamlined home that I was proud of kind of process going on, okay? So let me give you some of the background first, all right? When years ago, 2014, right? Inside of my Tidy Tutor group, like I teach a course, Tidy Tutor University, and there are people that are part of that. And one of the members asked me, Kathy, can you please talk about minimalism? Because I really like it. I found these guys called the Minimalists, Joshua Fields Milburn and Ryan Nicodemus. Okay, that's their names. Love them. Check them out, they're cool. She said, I really like these guys. Can you teach on minimalism, like bring that into TTU? And I really didn't want to, right? I didn't want to because I felt like, why should we? Why should we do that? We already know that our number one obstacle is too much stuff. We already know that we have to get rid of things. And inside of the course that I teach, we actually have a plan to do that once a month in the whole house. Like the way it works is we do for 1 week inside the house, we do a section of the house, and we do that every week throughout the month, and then the next month we do it again. So the entire house is always getting a once over of going over things, because organizationally gifted people, they de-junk on a regular basis. That's how their houses stay clear of clutter. Okay, so I'm thinking, why do we need to do that? We already have it going on where we're living with less. Like, do we really need to see how to be minimal? Aren't we minimal, right? Like that. But there were so many people that wanted to know more about it, because I think it was around 2014 that becoming a minimalist was like a huge, wave. There's a big wave of people wanting to do that. So other people in my group said, yeah, I'd like to investigate that further too. I've looked into it too. So I had to do it, okay? So at the same time, I have a friend who, she actually is a minimalist, and she said that these two guys, the minimalists, will be in New York City doing a book tour, and they're gonna give a speech. And so, like do some speaking, and we could go buy a book, get a book signed, and listen to them speak. And I said, yeah, of course I'll go. So we got 2 tickets and we went. And what happened for me was really big, because I really didn't think I was going to walk away from that with anything other than, I don't know, what I knew already, honestly, right? But this is what happened, okay? Joshua Fields Milburn, his mom passed away, and she lived in Florida. He lived in the Midwest somewhere, and he had to go to Florida to, get rid of the contents of her home and whatnot, right? So he went there. He was going to put all of her stuff in storage. That's what he was going to do. It's like, I don't know, what to do exactly, but I guess I'll just get all her stuff in storage and figure out what to do from there, right? So he started packing up things, and when he got into her bedroom, he looked under the bed, and there were 3 boxes, and the boxes were labeled 1, 2, and 3. They were pretty banged up, right? It was obvious that they hadn't been opened since they were, boxed up. The tape was still intact and all of that. And so he didn't know what was in them. It just said 1, 2, 3. And he opened them up. And the first one was all of his first grade schoolwork and papers and things like that, drawings. The second one was 2nd grade. The third one was 3rd grade. And that changed everything for him. He realized that he wasn't in those boxes, that his mother hadn't opened those boxes since they had been boxed up, that all of the stuff that he was going to take and put in storage was just going to be like those 3 boxes under the bed. He realized that he wasn't in those boxes. His essence wasn't in there. And it could have been just folded up newspaper in there for all she knew for all these years. And he decided not to put her things in storage, and things started to change from there. He actually chose a few things that meant something to him, very small things. And he called someplace and had everything donated. And then from there on, he moved on to downsizing, realizing a lot of things. And, there's a whole story to that. And I'll probably get into it a little bit when we go. But I want to move on to what I did when I got home. When I got home, it really did affect me. It made me realize that there are so many things that we think we need to keep, and that are, like we think, well, there's a purpose for that, and that's all right, to have that, whatever it is. But, with that revelation, I'm like, geez, how many things do we have hanging around that we think we need or want? And in the long run, really, they're just holding us down, holding us back. So I decided to do an experiment. I decided to declutter, like I said, we do on a regular basis, with a minimalist mindset. Okay. So I opened up a drawer in my office. Now, the office was actually just a room in my house that just had a dresser in it. I think there might have been a chair too, but it was really empty room with a dresser. And inside that dresser, I had office supplies, greeting cards, staplers, hole punch, paper cutter, paper, right? Pencils, pens, that kind of thing. So now the way we declutter, de-junk, whatever, on a regular basis is we do it in zones. And so the first week might be the laundry room, entranceway. Second week might be the kitchen. Third week might be the office, stairs, hallway, that kind of thing. So at this one particular week, it was my office, right? I think at that time it was my office, laundry room. So I go into the office trying to think like a minimalist, and I open up a drawer and I think like a minimalist to declutter. And there were things that I let go of that I wouldn't have let go of, thinking like who I was without thinking like a minimalist. And so here's some things that I discovered. And there was another little experiment I did that I'll talk about in a second. One of the things that I did was I asked myself, now, why would you get rid of this now? Because you're thinking like a minimalist. And I thought, well, because I really don't need those. And here's an example, like the greeting cards, right? Like you go to a big box store and they might have like a box, like, BJ's or Costco or something, and they have a box of greeting cards, birthday cards, Christmas cards, thank you cards, sympathy cards, all that kind of thing, right? And you have them. Well, I had those, and when you use them for quite a while, it dwindles off to be those cards that honestly you're never going to use. Like you've had them now for years. But see, with my mindset of who I was, Italian mother of 5, living in New Jersey, right? This is within, so I kind of like identified with someone where before I took my identity out of it. I was just thinking minimalist. But before I was thinking me, or who I thought I was, because we'll get into that a little bit later, about who I thought I was and what I mean by that. Okay, so thinking minimalist made me want to get rid of things. I had 2 staplers in there. One was a little one was a bigger one. Well, I kept it before because, well, what was it hurting? What if I need a little one for some reason? I had 2 hole punches. Well, why do I have to? See, before I was thinking, well, there's nothing wrong with this. They fit in the drawer. It's neat and orderly. They make sense of what they are. And so, I kept them. Now, would I have kept 6 freaking staplers? No, of course not. The hole punches, why did I have 2? I don't know. I had 2, and it just never occurred to me to get rid of the second one. I just had 2 in a little organizer kind of thing in there. The greeting cards, I get rid of them all of them, because looking at them before with the mindset of who I was as a person, of course I'll keep them, whatever, they fit in that drawer. There's nothing wrong with that there. Thinking like a minimalist, where I only have the minimum, what I actually need, want, and use. I didn't use those for years, and I knew it. So those went. So I was really able to get rid of more things than I was before. And at this point, I have been pretty, organized. It'd been years since before. In case you don't know, I am a reformed slob. I lived with way too much stuff, and I didn't know how to get rid of what I had, or even how to keep the house clean, none of that. And so there I was, many years later, completely reformed. And I lived, pretty organized and pretty orderly, with not more than, not a lot of excess or anything. Yet still I saw how I could even get rid of more. Now, let me explain though. we don't just get rid of stuff for the sake of getting rid of stuff. We get rid of stuff because our number one obstacle is too much stuff. And whether you realize it or not, even the organizationally gifted people who have too much stuff, but it's ordered. You know, they have a garage with shelves. Everything is ordered on their shelves. They have an office with all kinds of office supplies, a kitchen with all kinds of gadgets and things, but everything is ordered and orderly. People can come over on a regular basis. Do you know what happened to people who decided to become minimalists after they got rid of all the excess? You know, they had a cappuccino machine that they never used, they got rid of it, right? They just decided, we're just gonna live life with much less, only what we need and use. Because they found that even on the days that they had free, they were managing their stuff, even though their house was organized and ordered. That's the way it stays that way, right? What they found was they got happier. That's what they found. They got happier. Now, they didn't even know they weren't happy, kind of thing. It was just like when they had less, happy came to fill the spaces. So I thought to myself, if that's true for people who can have company over at any time, you know, somebody drops by, they don't feel mortified because they need to use their bathroom. They can have a party at last minute without having to, you know, go off the deep end and, you know, scream at everybody until the party happens. You know, those people, right? If they found themselves to be like happier, what would happen for people like us, right? So I wanted to go more into it. So here's the other thing that I said I would talk about next, my next experiment. Well, I lived in a house that was in disrepair. It was really just all cosmetic stuff that had to be done to it, but I didn't have the finances to be able to fix it. It needed a new kitchen. It needed a new bathroom. I didn't have the funds for that. So I was complaining one day in the shower to myself, or to God, I guess, and I got in my heart, well, you just do the best with what you got. Can you do that? And I thought, oh, you know what? I could do that. So I got a Pinterest board because, you know, I thought, well, that would be a good idea to get ideas. And I called it My Funky House. And I went on the internet and I found images of things that I thought could be inspiring for me to do to my house, sort of like a shabby chic thing, right? Well, one of the images was a front porch. And I wasn't thinking minimalist or anything when I was doing this, all right? I was just doing this My Funky House thing, okay? Something that the minimalist thing morphed into, all right? So it was like two separate things going on here. So one of the images that I found was a front porch. I found this front porch. I said, wow, I could do that to my front porch. This is great inspiration. I could make mine work to be like that. So here, you know what I'll do? I'll share my screen so that you could see the image. All right. That's what I saw. That's what I wanted. And I thought, well, that's cool. I want to do that in my porch. Now I go to do it. And when I go to do it, I say to myself, wait a minute. What am I going to do with these things in here? Because like the things that I had were here. I think I have a picture of that. Let me get into this. So this is what it was like. Okay. This is what the porch was like before. And it was very country-like and motherly, you know, the pictures that you see there, two of those pictures, one of my grandson did one of them, my daughter did another one. It was yellow, it was country. It really kind of screamed mommy. Okay, it was very different. See, there's another image of different portions of it, although the one to the bottom right was the after I worked on it. All right, but see those other three, the one with the little china closet type thing there, bookshelf thing, though that's what it was like before. Very different from this, right? So this is what it was before, and this is what I wanted it to be. So I went in there to do it, and I said, well, you can't do it. You can't do what you want to do to this room because you don't want to get rid of these things. And then I said to myself, but wait a minute. I think these things have way too much power over me because I want this, but I won't do it because of things. And then I said, well, wait a minute. What if I think minimalist? How will I do? What would I do if I thought minimalist? And I realized that my things were holding me back and that the identity of who I was had changed. You know, one of the things that happens for people is that we go through stages in life and there's always sort of like a graduation, right? Let me share for a second. There's always like a graduation, right? Where you're a baby and then you get a little bit older. So you get rid of your rattle and your little toys that are, you know, big and you can't put in your mouth, right? And then you get older and you have dolls that you play with. And then later you have littler things because now you put things in your mouth, right? And you're able to play with things. So now you have Barbies and things. And those other things do not move on with you, right? I mean, you know, once in a blue moon, yeah, maybe you'll have your favorite teddy bear that goes on with you for many years, or you have like a collectible Barbie or something like that that you've kept. But you all know what I'm talking about. We move on and our stuff gets left behind. Then what happens? You get to be a teenager, right? Well, now maybe you're not playing with Barbies anymore. You know, maybe you got posters on your wall. I mean, I might be dating myself. I don't think people do that anymore. I don't know. But when I was a kid, that's what we did, right? So, you know, now you have like a computer in your room. And when I was a kid, you know, you got a teen phone, you know, you got your phone. Now I know there's no such thing as that, but you see what I mean, right? Your bedroom set is different now. Then you move on. What happens? You graduate high school, right? And then what? Do you take your posters off your wall and move them into your apartment? You know, most likely no. Now you're developing into a little bit more sophisticated taste, and you leave some other things behind. Now you graduate. Maybe you graduate college, maybe you get a job, maybe you move into your own place. And with each stage of life, our things change too. But something happens when we get older, especially if you're like a mom or a dad and you're like, well, this is who I am. See what I said before about my identity? When I was dejunking as the mother of 5 from New Jersey, Italian lady, then yeah, I'm going to keep this. I'm going to keep all my platters. I'm going to keep all my china. I'm going to keep my dining room set and all of my stemware. I'm going to keep all of that stuff because you know, hey, I'm an Italian from New Jersey. That's what we do. You know what I mean? Right? But the thing is that I graduated, but nobody told me. And I'm sure the same thing happens for you. So it isn't only about, yeah, Kathy, you don't understand. I got so much stuff I need to get rid of. It isn't only about that. It's about getting rid of the stuff that makes you be true to you. And it really, really helps when you need the motivation to get rid of things, to see that you're moving on. You're moving on to your next level of life. You know, I was no longer mommy. You know, I was ma. I didn't have the great big, you know, China taking out holiday dinners and stuff. I actually never did. Yeah, we had dinners, of course. We had the Italian after, you know, Sunday dinners with macaroni and meatballs and Italian bread and a big bowl of salad. Yeah, we did that. Yeah. But did I take out the China? Nope. And did I take out the, you know, any of the, you know, expensive stuff I had in there? No. You know, most of the time I would get the heavy Chinette so that I didn't have to wash the dishes. And if I did the regular dishes, I used the regular dishes from the kitchen. So like at some point we have to ask ourselves, am I doing what I'm doing because I'm supposed to? Am I doing what I'm doing because of who I used to be, but I'm not anymore? Or am I doing what I'm doing because this is authentic to me? And your dejunking process will absolutely help you when you think about it in this kind of way. When you think about it as, who am I today? And let me reevaluate what I'm going to do, and then do it. And you could do it like an experiment, like I did. Like what I did was, I was kind of nervous. And I'll tell you the truth, if I wasn't the tidy tutor, I probably wouldn't have done it. I mean, I could actually say, I know I wouldn't have done it. If I wasn't the tidy tutor, when I went in there and I looked at my stuff and I saw the, you know, the little thing that my son Joey made me from kindergarten that was sitting on a shelf, and the little pictures in the frames and the little, you know, stuff that I had there, I probably would have just said, you know what, nah, it's fine like it is. But because I was a tidy tutor and because people asked me about minimalism and all of that, and I was moving ahead that way, I said, you know what, I'll do it as an experiment. So I took all of that stuff and I boxed it up and I put it in the piano room. It was just a closed-in porch with a piano in it. I called it the piano room. So I put all of the stuff in there because I didn't know if I was going to want it the way I thought I wanted it. It was scary. Remember that we like to stay in our comfort zones. Comfort zones are a place that we're used to. It's the word familia. It's, you know, what's family, right? It's familiar. We like to stay with what's familiar. So there's a lot of things going on here. There's being afraid of change. There's your identity. Because you know what the other thing about identity is? Your identity is exactly who you are. Like, you know the word identical? It's the same as. That's what it means, the same as. So when you identify with something, if you're going to detach from it, it's like popping off an arm. It ain't that easy, right? But anything that requires growth, anything that makes us grow or move on to where we actually want to be, change is involved in that, right? And so we got to, like, you know, try it. That's all. Nobody's going to die. That's what I always say to myself. Well, nobody's going to die. Just do it. You know, sometimes we get scared for nothing. So I'm going to share my screen again. All right. So here it is. Here's the room I wanted. This was, let me go on to this so I could show you. Okay. This was what it was. And this is what I made it to be. Okay. Because remember, I wanted this. So I got white sheer curtains. I got a chandelier from my sister. Right? Now, you might be saying, well, minimalist, don't they kind of like don't want to buy more things? Like they're into not having to, you know, acquire more things. Well, what I did was I put a Facebook ad, I put a Facebook post up, and I said, I know one of you New Jersey relatives of mine has a chandelier in your attic someplace. Who's got one that doesn't want it anymore? And my sister Tina said, I do. So I went to her house, I got a chandelier, I asked somebody to put it up for me, painted the entire thing white, the room, the floor was originally gray, right? Dark gray. And I painted that white. And then I just wanted a little bit of color. So I got a little vase. You can see it there in that picture. I already had that, that little like sliding bench thing. I already had that in there. I decided to keep it. I was thinking, oh no, should I paint it white? Nah, I just kept it the way it was. And I think I have it here. This is the picture of it. I got a little splash of color. That's an indoor outdoor rug I found in Lowe's. Let me see if I could see that little hope chest. That was originally, let's see, where is it? I think you could see a picture of it somewhere. Geez, no, very, very hard to see, but in the top left side picture where you see the window and then the pictures to the right of it, and then there's this little like stooly kind of bench thing, that thing to the left of it with sort of like a cushion on top, that was the hope chest. Found it in the trash, really, really liked it, brought it home. The great thing about it was it had a couple of little nicks in it. So when I painted it, it was perfect. I distressed it, shabby chic. It was great. So I used what I had mainly, right? I used what I had mainly. And the other things I just repurposed. One of the pictures, the one that's the black and white there of the flower that my daughter did, I just put that in my photo album. The other one I gave to my daughter. I said, here, Daniel did this when he was little. I gave that to her. Some of the other things I just donated. That I was like, you know what? I am done with these. The bookshelf thing that I had, my daughter wanted it, so I gave it to her. So a lot of these things were either moved into another place in my house or I gave them away. And so when I did this, I had to live with it for a couple of weeks. Because at first I felt like, oh my goodness, like, I don't know what I could do about this. I just had a granddaughter. What about when she gets a little older and she's outside and playing in the mud or something? I don't want to be one of those people that are like, oh no, don't come in the house. Everything is all white. You can't. And you know, I posted this on one of my Tidy Tutor pages that I have on Facebook. And you know, I said, all right, I did this, but this is what I'm thinking now. And people, well, mostly organizationally gifted people said, just wash your hands. You see what I mean? Like sometimes we just can't see the forest for the trees because we're so wrapped up in our identity, what we think we should do, the fear of change that we make up things. And so I'm like, oh my goodness, they're right. Just wash your hands. It's not a big deal. And so I lived with it for about 2 weeks before I realized that, yeah, holy mackerel, I really like it. And I kept it that way. So one of the things that did for me is it really did help me move on to be who I actually was now and to allow myself to move on to the next stage of, you know, decorating or however you want to say it, the next stage of living my life authentic to who I was. Because just like I said before, moving from grade school, you know, from babyhood to toddlerhood to grade school to high school to college or workplace to marriage to moving out, in each of those stages things change, and because we've changed. So I want you, when you're going to dejunk moving forward, that you think about, who am I now, and are these things that I am so reluctant to let go of stopping me from being who I am, who I want to be. And also just the fundamental of, am I spending most of my time managing my stuff? Even when you got it together, right? I'm sure there's some members here there are people here that are watching that are part of my Tidy Tutor world, who've taken my course, that are living a streamlined life, that will still say, you know what, every Saturday, I really do go out into the garage and work on, things that I have, simply because you still have too much, even though it's ordered, even though it's manageable and feels good, right? So it's kind of like that with everybody. And the level of happy, I don't know, did I even mention that? I don't remember if I mentioned that people who were decided to be minimalists, who had it all together, found that when they got rid of the excess, even though their homes were neat and orderly, found that their level of happy accelerated, it raised. They got happier simply because they only had what they needed. They lived streamlined. Now, do you have to do that? No, you don't have to do that. Do you have to be a minimalist? No, you don't have to be a minimalist. But you can still get more motivation and catapult your getting rid of stuff, because it's tough for people that have things and have too many things, especially people that live in a mess. It's tough to let go of things. It's become part of our identity. Well, who would we be if we didn't have all this stuff, right? There's so many layers to this onion. It's crazy. But the beautiful part is you don't got to do it all at once. You don't have to do it all at once. And God only shows us what we're able to handle, right? He'll only show you what you could handle for the moment. So you'll de-junk, you'll go through things and think, wow, this is great. Put your hands on your hips, stand back and say, look at what I did, right? And then what happens? Next month, you go back in that space and you go to de-junk it again. And you see things you didn't see before. And you're like, why didn't I see that? How did I not see that gunk in the corner? Or why did I keep, that's broken. Why am I keeping that? Because if God showed us everything all at once, we would be like blithering idiots in the corner. And like, we wouldn't be able to move, So you'll be able to do this. Don't get nervous and think, oh my God, I can't do it. Little steps. Take one step at a time, right? Just what can I do today? Take a little bite, little tiny bite. A corner, a shelf. You want to work in a room? You can work in a room. But when you do go to work in a room, do a piece of the room at a time. What I like to tell people to do is start at 12 o'clock. Determine to yourself what part of that room is going to be 12 o'clock, and then work clockwise. So say you're in your kitchen and you say, all right, 12 o'clock is going to be my kitchen sink, and I'm going to do only the outside. I'm not going to do inside anything. And so I'm going to do 12 o'clock, the kitchen sink, and I'm going to work my way around only on the surfaces. See what I mean? Chunk it down. One of the things that's hard for people like you and me who are more right brain than left brain is we see the entire picture. It makes us like deer in headlights, and we can't move. We get overwhelmed. So if you could realize that and then just say, all right, I'm only going to do one thing. And then you just concentrate on that. And then you say, okay, you finish that. I'm going to do the next thing. Just please do me a favor. Don't burn yourself out. Because usually we get really excited about something and we jump in with both feet. And then before you know it, we burn out and we're like, oh my God, why did I even do this? So as a little freebie here, I'm going to tell you, always make sure you set a timer and stay true to the timer. If you say I'm going to work 1 hour, then work the 1 hour and then stop. If you say I'm going to work 15 minutes, work the 15 minutes and then stop. Give yourself a break so that your brain and the overwhelm, or the exhaustion, I should say, has time to catch up with each other. So that after you take the break, you'll get the message, all right, you're done. Or you'll get the message, you can go on a little while longer. See what I mean? And another little thing on the side is, if you do choose to do 1 hour, right, break it down into half. So set your timer for 30 minutes and then set your timer for another 30 minutes. And the reason for that is we feel like, oh my God, I got to keep doing this. Like it just gets like, we get to a point where we hate what we're doing, and we don't want to do that. We want it to always feel joyful. So if you do it for 30 minutes, then all right, I'm almost halfway there. And then when the dinger goes off and you're like, I'm halfway there, I did half of it. Now you only have the same amount to do again, and you're done. See what I mean? An hour, feels like forever. Really, do this little experiment. Set a timer for 15 minutes. I guarantee you that in 7 minutes, you're going to be, or before, you're going to be looking at the timer thinking that it broke. Oh, I probably didn't set that timer. I probably never set it. Or something happened to the timer. And then you look and it's like, oh my God, only 7 minutes went by? Because that's going to happen. All right. So I think that's that. I hope that this was helpful. I hope that you will, get inspiration to do some de-junking. Start thinking like a minimalist as you do it. And I think that you'll be surprised with how many more things you'll be able to let go of when that happens. Okay. There is a couple of more things that I'd like to talk about, but we've gone on for as long as I have determined to go on for. So tomorrow we can meet again. Hopefully you'll be able to be here. If not, of course, it'll be recorded. It's here on Facebook, and I'll also send it out in an email to anybody that hasn't been able to make it. But we'll talk about it again tomorrow. Tomorrow we talk about what one thing that is a very, very popular de-junking method should you run screaming from. Okay, that's what we're going to talk about tomorrow, and why. All right, and then I will maybe on Friday, if I come up with any more things that I say, oh geez, I'd like to talk about this, maybe I'll do that on Friday. I'll take little notes now, so that if there are a couple things like just now when I thought of something I'd like to talk about, I'll just compile that for Friday. Okay, because we're going to meet Tuesday and Wednesday, or Thursday, right? I could do it for Thursday and for the Friday, because today's Tuesday, right? Yeah, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then maybe we can do all of that other stuff that I'm thinking of now on Friday. Okay. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for joining me. If you are here on replay, can you please put in the comments replay so that I know it? And if you are here on replay and you have a question or anything, put it in and I'll answer it. I can't answer it until I see it, of course, but I will answer it. And if there are any other topics that I would have to actually do as a video, then I'll do a Facebook Live on that. But if I could answer it in typing form, I definitely will. So MJ said, thanks, Kathy. That was great. That was in Zoom, because we're in Zoom as well as Facebook. So I'm just going to sign out. Thanks a lot for being here. Hope I see you tomorrow. And like I said, on the Facebook page, write any questions that you have. I will go back and look and answer any of them. Okay. All right. And it doesn't have to even be on this topic. It could be on anything you want it to be. Okay. Bye. Thanks.